Hello, everybody. This is Bojie, Bay Area real estate agent. Been selling in the Bay Area forever. Now, if you are a first-time home buyer, or if you are a buyer in general, most of the time you're gonna have questions and concern about properties in one of the three areas, main categories, or all three categories. It all comes down to number one, what is the condition of the home? I need to do a lot of research about. That's number one. Number two would be what's the neighborhood like? What's the location like? Are there any concerns in terms of location? And number three, it would be the market, the economic conditions. So, as a first-time home buyer or just buyers in general, if you can have certainties in all these three different areas before making a decision to purchase a home, that's going to help you make a much better decisions and in turn giving you a great peace of mind before making that decision. So today I'd like to make a video specifically addressing the second common concern, which is the locations. And also, what are some of the research you have to do in terms of location of the property before deciding whether that's something you should move forward or not. So let's talk about it today. Now, the first question people often have would be, is this location safe? They're asking about the crime situations. So this is where you go to take a look at the crime situations. It's called crimemapping.com. Let me show you in just a second. So this is the website, crimemapping.com. And you can take a look at the location that you're interested. Let's say this is where I live, 95014 in California. And the map shows you in the last 7 days, there has been 7 records of crimes. And the map would tell you, this is where I live on the map. And this would tell you, you see these icons, they would tell you sort of like what categories of crime they are. So if you click on that, disturbance, okay? And so with exclamation mark, it's disturbance. With a fire mark is arson. And there's one grand theft. So this map will basically tell you, give you an idea of the actual crimes that's been committed, and then you can go to related links to take a look at the specific incidents if you're interested. And so this is where I live, and this is one of the listings that I have. So if you go to 94609, that's in Oakland, and it will tell you in the last, let's see, let's go there. And here it's a different world. So you've got crimes such as burglary, you've got drugs and alcohol, you've got larceny, and you've got assault, you've got motor vehicle theft. So this website, I'm going to put this in a link in description, will give you a great idea of the actual crimes that's been committed given the period of time. And you can always change the period to last 4 weeks or a custom range. Let's say I want to do last 6 months. You can do that. And here it tells you that it's got more than 1,000 records. So that gives you an idea of this place having a lot more crimes than, let's say, this place, Cupertino, California. And basically, this could affect the home values based on how safe the area is. So crimemapping.com will be one great tool that you can use to look at the crime situations in the property location that you're interested. Now, the second thing that most buyers concern the most when it comes to location would be, are there any natural hazards around the area? Which brings to the JCP reports, which is typically provided by the seller and the seller's title company for buyers to read before making a decision. So I'm going to just go over briefly on what the JCP report looks like. So take a look at this. This is a typical JCP report or natural hazard report. So there's basically a couple of main natural hazards that's going to be listed on any report, and then they're going to tell you whether this specific property is under that hazard zone or not. The first one would be special flood. I'm going to go over these briefly. A lot of these informations are out there that you can research on your own, but it comes down to, is this place in a special flood hazard area? If it is, then you probably have to buy flood insurance. So that's going to add into your purchase cost. Potential flood means if there's any dam failure, indentations. So if the property has a nearby dam, then of course the dam can always break and then flood the whole area. So that could be potential flooding. Now, of course, that does not require you to have flood insurance. And then fires, you know. Now with the fires, if this is in a brush area, extremely high risk of getting wildfire, such as wildland area, then you may have problem getting the basic homeowners insurance. So that could be a problem. And earthquake fault. So California overall, Bay Area is known to have active fault lines, and one is San Andrea, the other one will be Hayward. So the definition of active fault line is basically if there's any movements in the last 10,000 years, then it's considered active. And let me show you a quick map of where the two fault lines are. So take a look at this website. Again, all of this will be in the link in description. So you have these two fault lines, San Andreas and Hayward. So you can basically see where your property is located. Is it very close to, or is it on the fault line? What does that mean? It just means you're on the earthquake fault line, you're much more likely to suffer from earthquake. So should you buy earthquake insurance or not? It's completely up to you. Now, the seismic hazard zone. So obviously, a lot of it are caused by earthquake shaking too. If your property is by the hill, chances are you'll be suffering a landslide. Here's basically a summary of all these different like hazards. Are they in or are they out? So basically, anything that's a no, that's good. If it's a yes, you want to read about. So one of the questions I get asked all the time would be liquefaction. So the official definition of liquefaction is it takes place when the sediments near the ground are waterlogged or loosely packed, and then they lose their strength in response to strong ground shaking. So what that means is that you got to have three things in place. One is water, one is landfill, and thirdly, strong shaking, earthquakes such as, and it could cause your home to sink, below the ground. And here, basically, the report says, in terms of like a county level liquefaction, yes, it is. Because this property, I mean, in the Contra Costa County, it includes Discovery Bay and Alameda and all that. A lot of those places, yes, because they are by the water, they are landfill, and obviously they're going to be liquefaction. And in terms of city level, for this particular property, which is in San Ramon, it says that it is subject to potential liquefaction instead of high liquefaction potential. And most of the properties in the Bay Area, I would say almost 50% of the property are in the potential liquefaction, especially if you're going from along the coast of the San Pablo Bay, from San Francisco's like marinas all the way down to Foster City, Redwood City, and Alviso, and then comes around to like west part of Hayward, Newark, Alameda. They're all like liquefactions. So what does that mean to your property if your property is in potential liquefaction? Well, it doesn't. The fact is that it does not actually affect the value of your home by too much. Maybe a little bit, but this is not really what's going to affect the home value overall based on the past 10, 20 years of data. So, but if you are still concerned about the property being in a potential liquefaction, you can always do a retrofitting, which means you can do a shear wall, you can do a bolting, tie downs to make your property more earthquake resistant. So again, for more information about liquefaction, I'll include some of the informations in the link in the description. And then there are these other what they call statutory disclosures, such as military coordinates, commercials, industrial, airports, and stuff. So these are the things for you to read about. But for the most part, what people are concerned is it going to be always flooded? Is it always going to have wildfires so that I can't even get a flood insurance? And then everything else will be earthquake caused disasters such as landslide, liquefaction. It comes down to how much fear do you have with earthquake? And in California, overall, earthquake did happen in the last 100 years. Is it going to happen next year, the year after? Nobody knows. But it's just that it's a potential. So that's something that buyers in California are all going to be in this together. So it's not just your particular property. So, anyways, moving on from the natural hazards, people want to know if the property is by the flight zone. So what that means is that if your house is close to the airport and if it's on the flight path, it could be very noisy all the time. And if noise is one of the things you absolutely hate in your life, then you may want to avoid living under the flight path. And you've got a website that you can go take a look at, flight paths. So to check the flight path, you can go to skyvector.com. So, you've got maps that you can zoom in and zoom out and you can move around. It's got a lot of great details. So, here's San Francisco Bay Area. So overall, if you're living close to the airport, we've got SFO, we've got San Jose Airport, and then we've got Oakland Airport. Chances are, you're going to be on or nearby flight pattern. Realize that flight pattern changes from time to time. So that if you are, it's not that it's set and done. So do realize if you're living within a pretty close proximity of airport, even if you're not on the flight path right now, but in the future you might still be. So this is one great website for you to check in terms of airport and flight path. So I'll include that in the description as well. Now the next research you can do is to search on Megan's website. Megan's website basically registers all the sex offenders that has either been released or they're currently in violation. They're living near the area. And I suggest go do take a look at it, and then I'll include that link in the description as well. Now, in terms of school, because a lot of buyers do care about what schools this property belongs to, and you can go to a very simple website called schoolandhousing.com, and I'll include that link in the description too. And the next thing is related to environmental is Superfund. Superfund is basically a toxic pollution site. So let's look at this website on the EPA website, search for Superfund where you live. So in California, we've got a list of Superfund. Okay, Sunnyvale's got some, Alameda's got some, Oakland, Santa Clara, and then it goes on and on and on. So you can go to this website and let's say Sunnyvale. It tells you the site name is Advanced Micro, and it'll tell you about what the site is all about and the backgrounds and the reason some people want to avoid living near Superfund is obviously hazards due to a toxic waste pollutions. So you can always Google the address. That's the address. And let's see. And it tells you this is where it's at. And basically, around the area, there aren't really a whole lot of houses anyways. And but you will start to see some properties a little bit further away, apartments and stuff. So this is basically for you to know that, like somewhere around the area, there's a Superfund there's a Superfund site. So if you're looking to buy a home, you may not want to be too close to these areas. So that's one thing you can research on. Now, the next thing you should take a look at is radon zones. Now, what is radon? Radon is a type of radioactive gas that can cause lung cancer. So, if you live in the property, you want to make sure your zone is not a very highly radon toxic zone. And this website, again, it gives you more explanation on more about radons. And here's some map that you can take a look at about the radons. So for example, like right here, this is a map. It tells you in the whole United States. Now, the deeper the color is, the more radon in this area has. So you got zone 1, zone 2, zone 3. The lighter the color, the safer you are from radon. And then it basically breaks down to radons in each state, and we're in California. So you can take a look at all these different counties of California in terms of its radon level. And it looks like Southern California, Santa Barbara's got the highest radon. And then the website also gives you more resource on what to do if you have radon. There are things you can do. You can test the radon level, and there are things you can do to reduce the radon. And these things don't really cost you a lot of money. So, but it's always a good idea to get your property radon tested before you move in. And the EPA website has a lot of good information about radon and what to do. So basically, in summary, what I have just gone over with you is a couple of things. Number one is crime and Megan, that these would affect your personal safety. And number two will be the natural hazards, which includes a bunch of natural hazards that I just talked about, and the radons and the Superfund. This would affect your health and well-beings living in this neighborhood. Number three would definitely be like schools. So these are the material facts that you should research before you determine whether this particular subdivision is something that you could buy and have a good life. Now, I understand that, besides these things that I have mentioned, in order to decide whether this is the place for you or not, also includes other lifestyle preferential um, material facts, such as, is this place close to the shopping center? Is this place close to the park? Is this place close to the beach? Is this place close to the highway companies? And, the weathers, the climates, and all that. Sure, those are things that you absolutely need to look into before making a decision. And for the purpose of this video, I'm not going to go into, talking about which neighborhood has shopping center that you should buy this and that, because these informations are highly preferential. But what I will do is, coming up next in the next video, I'm going to list out a bunch of different neighborhoods in the Bay Area, in Santa Clara County, Alameda County, and San Mateo County, in terms of what they all offer in terms of lifestyles. And this could also help you if you are moving from other states to the Bay Area and wanting to know more about what each neighborhood has to offer. The next video will be for you. So for this video, hopefully it helps you make decisions in terms of choosing an area that is safe, away from pollutions or life-threatening natural hazards, or gave you a relatively pleasant lifestyle, such as having a good school and flight patterns and all that. And hopefully this video provides you with great values. Anyways, if you have any unanswered questions, feel free to comment down below or email me. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. That's it for this time. Thank you for tuning in. I'll talk to you next time.